Following promotion from the Championship just last season, after 6 games, Sunderland are 5th in the Premier League and have lost just 1 game. And although this channel heavily focuses on the second tier, I think it's important to check in on the teams that have recently left us and understand how the Black Cats could be on their way to breaking the mould. Let's go. And speaking of breaking the mould, a massive thank you to today's video sponsor, Match Bingo, where they've combined bingo with the beautiful game. If you like bingo and you like football, this is the game for you. Whether it's a corner or a goal that you think you can predict, it could be your ticket to a full house. If you're over the age of 18 and live in the UK, grab the Match Bingo app today. It is so much fun, I promise you. Deposit £5 and get £10 for free. That's some casual football fun in a bingo format for just a £5. This is an example card for you on the screen now, and it works exactly the same in the Premier League, so you can get those Premier League teams as well. I thought of you, Sunderland fans, don't worry. You have 15 teams, and when your team scores, they turn purple. 2 lines win a prize, and a full house wins the main prize. It really is as simple as that. There are other cards to choose from as well, even ones for specific matches. So if you think you can predict those goals or corners, they all count towards your card. Also, as a little incentive for you right now, if you download the app and use the code JWP, when you deposit, you'll get yourself a 200% deposit bonus. Click the link in the description below or use the QR code on the screen now. Of course, as always, it's a bit of fun, so please play responsibly, but it is a lot of fun, so make sure you check it out. Firstly, I think the beauty of this Sunderland team is their excellence in flexibility. The stats don't show a team that dominates the ball. They're not overly direct. They actually show an organised team that defends immensely as a unit, with the ability to hurt teams in various scenarios. Their ability to mix it up is fascinating. Only a handful of teams have put together more 10-plus pass sequences this season, but they're also just as happy to go direct as well, averaging 21 long balls per 90. Essentially, they sit bang in the middle of the league on both counts, showing they can adapt to whatever the game demands. But before we have a bit more of a detailed chat on Sunderland's attacking capabilities a little bit later, I think it's really important we touch on the key structural elements that make this side click. Because I think in these videos, it's so easy to analyse the flashy bits. And although Sunderland do have that punch in the final third, it's how they defend so coherently that has really struck me since their promotion into the top flight. So this is a screenshot from their match against Nottingham Forest at the weekend. And when we speak about a block, an extremely effective low block, this in one image absolutely epitomises what we're speaking about. And Regis Le Bris after the game said that it's about being strong in that block and being disciplined when in it. And you can see in this image here, they are certainly disciplined, because if one player switches off, if one player loses concentration, the whole plan goes out the window and they can be attacked in ways they don't want to be. We're going to come on to zone 14 in just a second, which is this part of the pitch where the majority of goals are created or scored. And the way they defend that part of the pitch as well is fascinating, but more on that just a second. But straight away, in this screenshot, we're going to keep it really simple. I just want to show you how every single outfield player, you've got 10 players here, all in one block, stopping the passing lanes, stopping the space. Now, Elliot Anderson on the ball here. He's being pressed from by Siddiqui in this position of the pitch. So he's being forced to do something he doesn't want to do. Now, he wants to attack that central space. So many bodies in that central position. He's going to get forced out wide. Again, you've got players that can occupy that potential threat. You've got 3 Nottingham Forest players over on this side of the pitch. Very difficult to get that ball over there because, again, you've got plenty of bodies. You've got the entire Sunderland team compact, strong, defending as one. Now, although this game does open up slightly more in the second half, I can tell you, in the first half, Nottingham Forest had 63% possession, yet Sunderland didn't concede a single shot on target and conceded an open play XG of just 0.2. Now, as we move on to our second screenshot here, I want to talk a little bit about the ability of controlling games without having the ball, because there's a misconception that if you want to control games, you've got to have, like Nottingham Forest did in the game, over 60% of the ball. And as we know, they had over 60% of the ball, but didn't win this match. You can control games without it. And interestingly, controlling the ball and controlling the game are completely different things. Sunderland are not expected to outpass many oppositions in the Premier League. And actually, when we saw them in the Championship, they didn't really outpass many teams there either. There's a very distinctive style of play that Regis Le Bris has implemented. But instead, their focus is on controlling the space, which is something completely different. It's about making sure you've got bodies in the right positions and you've got bodies occupying those spaces that potentially oppositions can exploit. And you can see in this screenshot here, really strong in that compact block. As he moved again to another screenshot, we talk about controlling the space. Look at the spaces here. If we look at the opposition, you've got a player in the centre of the pitch. Now, actually, although they haven't got the ball here, they're still controlling that space, because if we look at that central spot there, it is absolutely surrounded by Sunderland players. That player there does not want to receive the ball. And if he does, he's probably going to be dispossessed, because Sunderland are completely in control of that area. If we go into another position, I'll give you another example. If we look out wide here as well, you've got Williams on the ball in this position here. Again, he's got no choice but to make this pass, I imagine, or he can maybe go back to Elliot Anderson into this deeper part of the opposition half and deeper part of Sunderland's half. But again, you've then got, in this position here, an aggressive press there, slightly more aggressive than maybe the other players. You've then got potentially Laffy here looking to snatch that ball off, that potential pass inside here as well. You've then also got that player that if Williams does try and go direct down the line, you've got that fullback ready to try and defend and stop that cross. And again, you've then got other players here. I mean, this position of the pitch is completely occupied. You've got Chris Wood touch tight with the Sunderland defender. He could try and switch the play using a long pass, but again, that's extremely difficult. So again, it's about occupying space, and instead of controlling games with the ball, and we know teams can do that, you can also control games by dominating space. And the spaces here that Nottingham Forest want to exploit are being controlled by the positioning of Sunderland's players. Again, that comes down to lots and lots of discipline. You can see in this screenshot here, if we move it forward to another one, once again, you can see the body language of Elliot Anderson here. He wants the ball. But again, you've even then got Granit Xhaka. If we zoom in here, and we're going to speak about Granit Xhaka in a moment, because I think his abilities and his leadership qualities, it's difficult to talk about that because we're not a Sunderland player, so we don't quite know really what he's like as a leader, other than what he does through his performances. But actually, this is a brilliant moment here. If we zoom in, he is making sure that the Sunderland players are aware of Elliot Anderson in this little inside pocket here, so that if that pass is played, he's known. He makes sure that is known. And even this player here, this Masuaku, the fullback, he's also pointing as well, because he knows this is a danger. But again, the passing lanes are being well occupied. Now, I think the pass does go back to this play here. Now, he probably could pass it into there, but it's a tricky pass. And you've also then got someone like Enzo Laffy that's trying to cut out that passing lane as well, because again, they're looking to control the space. And in the end, because of that strong organisation, I think this ball goes into this player here. I think it then goes back and they try and go around the sides again. And by doing that, and by doing it in a slow way, because Sunderland are forcing them to go back and find another way through, Sunderland then give themselves that opportunity to reorganise, reshape, and then try and stop an attack from a different area as well. So again, it's very, very well done. And it's not the pretty stuff. And in these videos, when we analyse teams, we can talk about the amazing passes, the goals, the finishes. But it's these structural elements that make a team that don't have the ball just as good as a team that do have large amounts of the ball as well. Now, I did briefly mention Zone 14 earlier. I'm going to go into a bit more detail on it now, because I think it's fascinating. And the way that Sunderland defend Zone 14 is so impressive. Now, Zone 14, if you don't know, is this position here, just outside the opposition box. And it's estimated that around 60% of goals are scored or assisted from this central space just outside the opposition box. On the screen now, you can see the attacking direction map of Nottingham Forest from this game against Sunderland, and the darker green highlights a high concentration of their play coming from the wide areas, and that's because, as we just spoke about there, Sunderland are forcing Nottingham Forest to go into those wide positions. So there's a heavy concentration of play in those positions, but in Zone 14, in that central space, it's a lighter green because they weren't able to attack that part of the pitch, and that's down to Sunderland and their ability to stop them from attacking central spaces. And if we come back to this screenshot here, you can see so many bodies in those central spaces. And once again, I know it's a screenshot we've already looked at, but it's a wide player on the ball as well. Now, ideally, when we spoke about this screenshot, these teams, these Premier League teams, especially the ones that want to play the football with lots of the ball, they want to try and penetrate those central spaces. That's why Elliot Anderson has found this pocket here, and he wants to get the ball into that position so we can pick it up, drive, turn, and then attack into, he's probably going to look to go into that position here and drive into the central space. But that pass isn't made because of the positioning. And once again, this part of the pitch, the central areas, if we find a better example, I reckon this is another good example as well. You can see so many bodies in that central spot because Sunderland know that that's where the majority of attacks are formed. So it was Sunderland's compact block that were brilliant at protecting that part of the pitch and instead forcing Nottingham Forest to use the wide positions, as we saw with the attacking direction map. And when you force them into wide positions, that is normally a lot easier to defend. And finally, before we move on from the defensive elements to their game, I absolutely love this stat. And I think it epitomises everything that we've just spoken about. So far this season, Sunderland have won 55.8% of their duels. So the majority of their Premier League duels. And I can tell you that's the best percentage of any other team in the division. They've got the basics spot on. They've got the organisation spot on. They've got the coherence spot on, with lots of new players being added over the summer. I think it's fascinating, and it comes down to brilliant coaching. Right, let's now move up the pitch a little bit and speak about how Sunderland can hurt teams themselves, because they absolutely can. Now, although large elements of Sunderland's approach has adapted and changed since Regis Le Bris arrived at the start of last season, the way they use wide triangles in build-up is a crucial way in which we see them attack. Now, this is their passing network from their win at the weekend. And just like it was in the Championship, so much of their offensive action comes from the flank. Certainly on the left-hand side in this game, it's all about the relationship between the fullback, the midfielder, and the winger. In this screenshot here, you can very clearly see that wide triangle being created. You've got Enzo Laffi making up the base of this triangle. You've got Masuaku, the fullback, advancing inside. You then got Siddiqui, who's actually a central midfielder that drifts into those wide positions, touch tight to the touch line. And you can see the triangle here very, very clearly. And Sunderland love forming these wide triangles. And the reason why Sunderland do this is to maintain possession when they do have periods with the ball. They also have some really quite dynamic passing options and provide helpful wide overloads too. Now, as we move forward here, Masako, you can see, has got the ball. We move forward to the next screenshot. You can see it's a pass, and Siddiqui, if we actually go back to highlight the run, he's going to make this run here. And you can see in this next screenshot, he's made that run. The pass is fantastic. And he's now through on goal in a matter of seconds, now putting pressure on the opposition's back line and their stretch. Because if we go back here, the positioning of Nottingham Forest's defenders, all the eyes are on the fullback who's got the ball here. You see Williams here, he's solely just looking at Masuaku. You can see the midfielder here is just looking at Masuaku. No one's really paying attention. I'm not really sure what this wide player of Nottingham Forest is doing either, to be honest. I think he's ball watching, to be quite frank. And Siddiqui has drifted into that position of the pitch. He's touch tight, made that point of a triangle, and then he knows he can make that run. His personal heat map from this game reinforces that point really nicely too. Just look how often he finds himself down that left channel. Sometimes he's the one making the run and receiving the ball, as we just saw there, but he can also be the base of the triangle too, operating in slightly deeper areas of the pitch as well. I think there was plenty of social media coverage of Siddiqui in the way that he covers so much of the pitch, and he does absolutely do that. And the way that he drifts out wide, I think, is really, really important to the way that Sunderland can build up in those different ways. Lastly, I absolutely love the way that Regis Le Bris encourages this Sunderland team to not just find the opposition box quickly, but be effective when inside it. Now, like I said at the start, I think this team is so flexible, so adaptable to different scenarios within matches, which is crucial and will give them such a chance of breaking the mould and staying in the Premier League. They can play vertically. We've seen the central defenders go long. They can do that. We've just spoken about how they can build up in the middle third with the use of those wide triangles. They've got ball carriers in the team as well. And I speak about those traditional 1v1 wingers. They're also fascinating. They can get in behind. But I also want to touch on the use of set pieces, because they have improved significantly at their use of set pieces so far this season. I actually did a video before the season started and I spoke about coming out on the right side of fine margins. And these games that Sunderland have been a part of so far have been pretty tight. They've conceded a low XG, and as expected, they've created a fairly low XG as well. And that's nothing groundbreaking. And as we've already spoken about in this video, there are so many positives that can come with that. But what it does mean is that when they do have the opportunity to cause a threat, they absolutely have to make the most of it. In modern football, where games are often decided by fine margins, set pieces can be a really decisive factor. Whilst in open play, a lot is uncontrollable, set plays are restart situations in the middle of a game that can be practiced and ultimately, to a certain extent, can be controlled. Now, in the Championship last season, Sunderland sat in the bottom half for set play XG and around mid-table for set play scored. By no means were they bad, but in comparison to so far in the Premier League this season, they've come on leaps and bounds. 45% of their set pieces have ended in a shot, which is the 4th best in the league, and 37% of their total XG across every game so far this season has been created through a set piece. Now, that's the 3rd most in the league. And I think it's only right we leave you with this because it was the winning goal against Nottingham Forest at the weekend and it came from a set piece. Who's over it? Granit Xhaka. And if we could do a whole video on Granit Xhaka, to be honest, but his influence and his impact has been sensational. And as I briefly mentioned earlier, his leadership is clear through performance. His quality is exceptional and has taken this side to a whole new level. Now, the delivery is exquisite. As we can move on here, we're going to come back to the run in just a second. This delivery is sensational. The weight of this pass. I love how he sort of jumps and hops as he makes that pass and fires this ball very delicately, actually. So firing, I think, is the wrong word. It's floated into that back post. That's elite level stuff. That takes a team from being a good team to a side that is excellent at taking advantage of those fine margins. And actually, if we look at the goal scorer here, his run here is fascinating. He actually starts just there, and I mean, you've got to question the defending. I mean, nobody's paying attention to him. He makes a really subtle run to the back post, and he's there to finish it, which is absolutely sensational. It's the precision of Xhaka's pass. His delivery to the back post is sensational. And these are the minor details that ultimately make the difference. And as you can see here, it's a set piece. It's a very, very simple, it's simply fantastic, but it's a set play and it's earned them 3 points. And those are the fine margins that can keep a team in the Premier League. And I think it's fantastic that we've seen a side promoted from the Championship, and it is only 6 games, but so far have showed lots of really exciting ingredients to suggest they're going to give this a bloody good go. Congratulations to Sunderland on a great start to the season. Keep it up. As Championship fans, we're proud of you, and we'll see you very soon. Take care.